Close your eyes and take a gentle breath. Let your body settle into this quiet moment. Tonight, we begin a journey not to distant stars or faraway lands, but to the most intimate universe of all. The one that lives inside you. Right now, as you rest in stillness, an entire world pulses with life beneath your skin. This world is so small that you could fit 1 million of its inhabitants on the head of a pin. Yet it's so vast that it contains more living beings than there are stars in our galaxy. This is your microbiome. Your body's hidden universe. Imagine, if you will, that you could shrink down to the size of a grain of sand. You would find yourself standing at the edge of the most remarkable landscape ever discovered. Hills and valleys made of living tissue stretch endlessly before you. Warm rivers of fluid carry messages and nutrients in currents that never rest. And everywhere, absolutely everywhere, tiny beings move with purpose. These are your microbes. Bacteria so small they seem like specks of stardust. Yet each one is alive, breathing, eating, communicating. They are not invaders in your body. They are not strangers passing through. They are your oldest companions, your most faithful partners in the dance of life. You were born into this partnership. When you took your very first breath, these microscopic allies began making their home within you. As you drank your first milk, they multiplied and spread, claiming territories throughout your body like gentle settlers finding their place in a new land. Your mouth became home to hundreds of species. Your skin bloomed with communities of helpful bacteria. But the greatest civilization of all took root in your gut, in the warm, dark tunnels of your intestines. Here, in this inner Amazon rainforest, trillions of microbes have built cities more complex than anything humans have ever created. They have neighborhoods and districts. They have supply chains and communication networks. They work together, trade with each other, and protect their shared home with fierce loyalty. And that home, remarkably, is you. Most of these microscopic residents are bacteria, though your inner universe also hosts fungi, viruses, and other tiny life forms. Together, they weigh about as much as your brain. In fact, if you could gather all the microbes in your body and place them on a scale, they would tip the balance at roughly 3 pounds of pure, living community. But their true power isn't measured in weight. It's measured in influence. These tiny beings don't just live inside you. They help create you. Every day, every moment, they're working alongside your human cells, participating in the most fundamental processes of your life. They help you digest food, transforming the meals you eat into energy your body can use. They manufacture vitamins you need to stay healthy. They even influence your moods, sending chemical messages that can make you feel calm or anxious, happy or sad. Most importantly for our journey tonight, they serve as teachers and guardians for your immune system. In the gentle darkness of your gut, they're constantly training your body's defense forces, showing them how to recognize friend from foe, how to respond to real threats while leaving peaceful visitors alone. This education happens in whispers, in chemical conversations so quiet you'll never hear them. Yet these microscopic mentors are among the most important teachers you'll ever have. They help your immune system learn wisdom instead of just strength, showing it how to protect without destroying, how to heal without causing harm. When this education goes well, your body maintains a beautiful balance. Your immune system stands ready to fight genuine dangers while allowing beneficial bacteria, foods, and even your own healthy tissues to exist in peace. You feel strong, energetic, and well. But sometimes, this delicate education can go awry. When your microbial teachers become sick or depleted, when their communities become imbalanced or damaged, they can't properly guide your immune system. Your body's defenses may become confused, forgetting the lessons of peace and balance. In these moments, your immune system might begin attacking the very body it was meant to protect. This is what we call autoimmune disease. It's as if your internal army has lost its wise generals and begun fighting battles that shouldn't be fought, causing damage to your own tissues in the process. But here's where hope enters our story like dawn breaking over a dark landscape. Scientists around the world are discovering that this hidden universe inside you might hold the keys to healing these confused battles. They're learning that by nurturing and restoring your microbial communities, we might be able to retrain your immune system, teaching it once again the ancient lessons of peace and protection. Your gut, this warm inner garden that you've carried with you since birth, may contain some of the most powerful medicine ever discovered. Not medicine that comes from distant laboratories, but medicine that grows naturally from the careful tending of life itself. As you breathe slowly in this quiet moment, know that millions of your microscopic partners are working peacefully within you, each one playing its small part in keeping you healthy and whole. They ask for nothing more than gentle care and nourishment. In return, they offer you a gift beyond measure, the possibility of healing from within. Tonight, we'll explore this gift together. We'll journey through your inner landscape and discover how these tiny teachers might help your body remember its own natural wisdom. But first, let your mind rest in wonder at this simple truth: you are never alone, for you carry within yourself an entire universe of life, each tiny being working in harmony toward your health and healing. Let your breath deepen as we travel backward through time. Not just years or decades, but millions upon millions of years, to the very beginning of this remarkable friendship between your body and the microscopic world within you. Picture Earth as it was long ago. The sky was different then, painted in shades of orange and gold. The oceans were warm and shallow, teeming with life so small it was invisible to any eye that might have been watching. In those ancient waters, the first chapters of your story were being written. Back then, there were no animals as we know them today. No flowers bloomed on the land. No birds sang in the morning air. But in the gentle currents of those primeval seas, something beautiful was happening. Single-celled creatures were learning to work together, to help each other, to share the burdens and gifts of life. This was the birth of cooperation itself. Some of these tiny beings discovered they could make a living by helping others. They became specialists in breaking down food, in fighting off harmful invaders, in creating the chemicals of life. They were like the first doctors, the first farmers, the first guardians in Earth's long history. As millions of years flowed by like a slow, peaceful river, life grew more complex. Simple cells joined together to form the first animals. These early creatures were nothing like you or me, but they carried within themselves something precious, the memory of cooperation, the knowledge that working together made life not just possible, but beautiful. Your ancestors, those ancient animals swimming in warm seas, made a choice that echoes in your body today. Instead of trying to do everything alone, they welcomed helpful bacteria to live within their bodies. They offered shelter and food in exchange for protection and assistance. This wasn't conquest. This wasn't one creature taking advantage of another. This was partnership in its purest form. Think of it like this: imagine you lived in a house, and instead of doing all the work yourself, you invited skilled friends to live with you. One friend was excellent at cooking and took care of all your meals. Another was wonderful at security and kept your home safe. A third friend was gifted at medicine and helped you stay healthy when you felt unwell. In return, you provided the house, the warmth, and the basic materials they needed to do their work. Everyone benefited. Everyone thrived. The house became more than just a shelter. It became a thriving community where each member contributed something valuable to the whole. This is exactly what happened in your ancestors' bodies, and it's exactly what happens in your body today. As your family tree grew through the ages, from simple sea creatures to fish, from early land animals to the mammals that would eventually become humans, this partnership grew stronger and more sophisticated. Your ancestors' guts became like beautiful gardens where different species of bacteria could flourish, each one contributing to the health and happiness of the whole community. Generation after generation, this relationship was passed down like a precious inheritance. Parent to child, mother to offspring, the knowledge of cooperation flowed through your family line. Not written in books or spoken in words, but encoded in the very cells of your body. The bacteria learned to read the signals your ancestors' bodies sent. They discovered how to communicate with immune systems, how to help digest food, how to manufacture the vitamins needed for life. In return, your ancestors' bodies learned to recognize these helpful bacteria as friends, to protect them, to create comfortable homes for them. This dance of mutual support became so natural, so essential, that neither partner could thrive without the other. Your ancestors became walking ecosystems, carrying entire communities of life within their bodies. And those communities became the foundation of health itself. But perhaps the most remarkable part of this ancient partnership was how it shaped the development of your immune system. In those early days of cooperation, your ancestors' bodies had to learn a crucial lesson: not all foreign visitors are enemies. This was revolutionary thinking in the microscopic world. Before this partnership began, the rule of life was simple: attack anything that doesn't belong. But your ancestors discovered something far more sophisticated. They learned to ask questions first. Is this visitor helpful or harmful? Should we fight it or welcome it? The bacteria became teachers in this new way of thinking. They showed your ancestors' immune systems how to tell friend from foe, how to respond with wisdom rather than just force. They demonstrated that the strongest defense wasn't always aggression, but sometimes acceptance and cooperation. This education took place in the gut, in that warm, dark space that became the classroom where immune cells learned their most important lessons. Here, surrounded by helpful bacteria, immune cells practiced restraint. They learned when to fight and when to protect, when to attack and when to embrace. This ancient schooling continues in your body today. Right now, as you rest peacefully, bacteria in your gut are teaching your immune system these same timeless lessons of cooperation. They're showing your defense cells how to maintain the delicate balance between protection and peace. When this education works well, your body maintains what scientists call immunological tolerance. Your immune system becomes like a wise guardian who knows the difference between a threatening stranger and a helpful friend. It protects you from genuine dangers while allowing beneficial bacteria, nutritious foods, and your own healthy tissues to exist in harmony. But when this ancient partnership becomes damaged or imbalanced, the lessons of cooperation can be forgotten. Your immune system might return to that primitive way of thinking where everything foreign is treated as an enemy. It might begin attacking the very bacteria that are trying to help, or worse, it might turn against your own body's tissues. This is how autoimmune diseases begin, not as failures of strength, but as failures of wisdom. Your immune system hasn't become weak, it has simply forgotten the ancient lessons of partnership that your ancestors learned millions of years ago. The beauty of this understanding is that it points toward healing. If these diseases stem from forgotten partnerships, then perhaps they can be healed by remembering and restoring these ancient relationships. Scientists today are learning to read the language your bacteria speak, to understand the lessons they teach. They're discovering ways to rebuild damaged partnerships, to restore the balance that your body has known how to maintain for millions of years. As you settle deeper into rest tonight, let yourself feel connected to this vast river of time that flows through your body. You are not separate from this ancient story of cooperation. You are its living continuation, carrying within yourself the wisdom of millions of years of partnership. And in your gut, in that warm garden where your oldest friends make their home, the conversation between your body and the microbial world continues in whispers as old as life itself. Let your breathing slow as we journey deeper into your body's most remarkable landscape. Imagine yourself floating gently through warm, peaceful darkness, carried along by currents as gentle as a summer breeze. You are traveling through your own intestines, through the winding pathways where your body's first and most important garden grows. This garden is unlike any other on Earth. It needs no sunlight, no rain, no seasons of change. Instead, it thrives in the constant warmth of your body, nourished by the food you eat and tended by your own careful rhythms of life. If you could see this inner garden with eyes that could perceive the microscopic world, you would witness something more beautiful than any landscape ever painted. Rolling hills and gentle valleys stretch along the soft walls of your intestines. These surfaces aren't smooth like the inside of a pipe. Instead, they're covered with millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi, creating a landscape as complex as mountain ranges and forest floors. Each of these tiny projections is like a tree in your inner forest. And growing on every surface, clustering in communities as intricate as any ecosystem, are your bacterial friends. They form living carpets of microscopic life, each species finding its perfect home in this warm, protected world. Near the entrance to your small intestine, where food first arrives after leaving your stomach, the bacterial communities are smaller and more scattered. The environment here is still somewhat harsh, touched by the acids that help you digest your meals. Only the hardiest bacteria make their homes in these challenging regions, like pioneer plants that can grow on rocky mountain slopes. As you travel deeper into your intestinal garden, the landscape becomes more welcoming. The walls grow more gentle and folded, creating countless hidden valleys and sheltered coves. Here, bacterial communities flourish in abundance. Different species claim different territories, each one perfectly suited to its chosen home. Some bacteria prefer the smooth plains of your intestinal walls, spreading out like vast meadows of microscopic grass. Others cluster together in dense groves, forming what scientists call biofilms, living cities where bacteria cooperate to create structures more complex than any human building. In these bacterial cities, the residents have learned to work together in remarkable ways. Some bacteria specialize in breaking down certain types of food, sharing the results with their neighbors. Others focus on creating protective barriers against harmful invaders. Still others manufacture essential vitamins and nutrients that your body cannot make on its own. It's like having an entire civilization living within you, each citizen contributing something valuable to the community. And this community, in turn, contributes something invaluable to you, the foundation of your health. Your large intestine, the final region of this inner garden, hosts the richest and most diverse bacterial communities of all. Here, in the gentle curves and spacious chambers of your colon, bacterial populations reach their greatest density. If your small intestine is like a mountain forest with scattered communities, your large intestine is like a tropical rainforest, teeming with life in every corner. Scientists estimate that in just 1 teaspoon of material from your large intestine, there are more bacteria than there are people on Earth. Each of these bacteria is alive, active, constantly working to maintain the delicate balance that keeps your inner garden healthy and thriving. The beauty of this garden lies not just in its abundance, but in its diversity. Just as a natural forest is strongest when it contains many different types of plants and animals, your gut is healthiest when it hosts a wide variety of bacterial species. Some of these bacteria are like the tall trees of the forest canopy, dominant and influential. Others are like the small wildflowers that bloom in forest clearings, present in smaller numbers but contributing their own unique gifts to the ecosystem. This diversity creates what scientists call resilience. When your bacterial garden contains many different species, it can weather challenges that might devastate a simpler community. If one type of bacteria is stressed by illness or medication, other species can step in to fill the gap, maintaining the essential functions that keep you healthy. The walls of your intestine serve as more than just the ground where this garden grows. They are living, breathing boundaries that participate actively in the life of your microbial community. These walls are covered with a special layer of mucus, like a protective blanket that keeps harmful substances away from your body while allowing nutrients and beneficial bacteria to thrive. This mucus layer is home to some of your most important bacterial partners. They live right at the border between your microbial world and your human cells, serving as ambassadors and translators between these two different forms of life. They help your body understand what the bacterial community needs, while helping the bacteria understand the signals your body sends. Beneath this mucus layer, your intestinal walls contain millions of immune cells, quietly monitoring everything that happens in your inner garden. These immune cells are like gentle gardeners, watching over the bacterial communities with careful attention. They've learned to recognize the beneficial bacteria as friends and allies, protecting them from harm while remaining ready to defend against any genuine threats. This constant, peaceful conversation between your bacterial garden and your immune system is one of the most remarkable aspects of your inner ecosystem. It's a dialogue that has been refined over millions of years of evolution, creating a partnership so seamless that it feels like a single organism working in perfect harmony. When this garden is healthy and diverse, when the bacterial communities are thriving in balance, they send signals of peace and well-being throughout your entire body. These chemical messages travel through your bloodstream, reaching your brain, your heart, your liver, and every other organ. They whisper to your immune system, reminding it of the ancient lessons of cooperation and tolerance. But when this inner garden becomes disturbed by poor diet, stress, illness, or medications, the harmony can be disrupted. Beneficial bacteria may decline in number. Harmful species might gain a foothold. The diverse ecosystem that took years to establish can become imbalanced, and with that imbalance, the peaceful messages sent to your immune system may change as well. This is where the connection to autoimmune disease begins to reveal itself. When your inner garden struggles, when the bacterial communities that have served as your immune system's wisest teachers become weakened or altered, the lessons of tolerance and cooperation may be forgotten. Your immune system, no longer receiving the gentle guidance it has always known, might begin to react with confusion and aggression, attacking not just harmful invaders but beneficial bacteria, food particles, and even your own healthy tissues. Yet in understanding this connection lies hope as powerful as sunrise after the darkest night. For gardens can be restored, communities can be rebuilt, and the ancient partnerships that have sustained human health for millennia can flourish once again. As you rest in this moment of quiet contemplation, know that your inner garden continues its work, tending itself with wisdom older than consciousness itself. Each breath you take nourishes this hidden ecosystem, and each moment of peace supports the delicate balance upon which your health depends. Breathe deeply and let yourself imagine the most important school that has ever existed. This school has no buildings made of brick or stone. It has no classrooms with desks and chalkboards. Instead, it exists in the warm, living darkness of your gut, where the most crucial education in your body takes place every single day. This is your immune system school. And the teachers here are your bacterial friends. Picture, if you will, your immune cells as young students arriving at this school for the very first time. They are eager and full of energy, but also uncertain. They carry within themselves incredible power, the ability to fight infections, destroy harmful invaders, and protect your body from countless dangers. But power without wisdom can be more dangerous than having no power at all. These immune cells are like young warriors who have been given the strongest weapons but have not yet learned when to use them. They need guidance, patience, and most importantly, they need to learn the difference between friends and enemies. This is why they come to school in your gut, where the wisest teachers in your body wait to guide them. The bacterial teachers in your gut have been preparing for this role for millions of years. They understand the delicate balance that keeps your body healthy. They know that true strength comes not from fighting everything that is different, but from learning to recognize what should be protected and what should be welcomed. When a young immune cell first arrives in your gut, it encounters a world unlike anywhere else in your body. Here, foreign substances are not automatically enemies. Food particles from your last meal drift peacefully through the space. Beneficial bacteria live in harmony with your own cells. Nutrients and vitamins move freely without causing alarm. At first, this can be confusing for the young immune cell. In other parts of your body, the rule is simple: attack anything foreign. But here in the gut, that rule doesn't work. If immune cells attacked everything foreign in this space, they would destroy the very bacteria that keep you healthy. They would create inflammation every time you ate a meal. They would turn your inner garden into a battlefield. So the bacterial teachers begin their gentle lessons. They communicate with the immune cells using chemical signals, like whispered conversations in a language older than words. These signals carry messages of peace and cooperation. They teach the immune cells to pause before attacking, to ask questions before assuming danger. One of the most important lessons takes place in special areas of your intestinal walls called Peyer's patches. These are like classrooms designed specifically for immune education. Here, immune cells can safely encounter small samples of the bacteria and food particles that live in your gut, learning to recognize them as friends rather than threats. Think of these patches as practice rooms where immune cells can meet their future neighbors in controlled, safe conditions. Like students practicing a dance or rehearsing a play, immune cells practice their responses here, learning the gentle art of tolerance. The bacterial teachers show them examples of truly dangerous invaders, harmful bacteria and viruses that would genuinely threaten your health. They help the immune cells understand the difference between these real enemies and the beneficial microbes that call your gut home. This education creates what scientists call immunological memory, the ability to recognize and remember the difference between friend and foe. But the lessons go even deeper than simple recognition. The bacteria teach your immune cells about proportional response. Just as a wise teacher knows when to use a gentle correction and when to be more firm, your immune cells learn when to respond with a whisper and when to respond with strength. For minor challenges, perhaps a small amount of harmful bacteria that accidentally enters your system, the immune cells learn to respond calmly and efficiently, eliminating the threat without causing unnecessary inflammation. For serious dangers, like aggressive infections, they learn to mount a strong response that protects your entire body. The bacterial teachers also introduce immune cells to the concept of regulatory behavior. Some immune cells specialize in becoming peacekeepers, learning to calm down other immune cells when their response becomes too aggressive. These regulatory cells are like wise counselors in your body's defense system, always working to maintain balance and prevent conflicts from escalating beyond what is necessary. This education creates layers of wisdom within your immune system. Young immune cells learn from older, more experienced cells. Different types of immune cells learn to work together, like members of an orchestra learning to play in harmony. And throughout it all, the bacterial teachers provide guidance, sending constant gentle signals that reinforce the lessons of cooperation and intelligent response. When this schooling works perfectly, your immune system develops what scientists call tolerance. This doesn't mean weakness or inability to fight. Instead, it means the wisdom to know when fighting is necessary and when peace should prevail. It means having the strength to protect without causing unnecessary harm. Your tolerant immune system becomes like a skilled diplomat who can maintain peace in a complex world. It protects you from genuine threats while allowing beneficial bacteria to thrive. It responds appropriately to the foods you eat, extracting nutrients without treating every meal as an invasion. It even learns to tolerate your own body's tissues, recognizing them as part of the home it is meant to protect. This last lesson, learning to recognize and protect your own tissues, may be the most crucial education your immune system receives. Every cell in your body carries molecular markers that identify it as self rather than foreign. Your immune cells must learn to read these markers correctly, understanding that tissues bearing these signs are always to be protected, never attacked. The bacterial teachers play a vital role in this self-recognition education. Through their constant, peaceful presence, they help create an environment where immune cells can practice distinguishing between self and non-self without the confusion that might arise in a more chaotic setting. But sometimes, this careful education can be disrupted. When the bacterial teachers become depleted or imbalanced, when the diverse microbial community that provides this gentle guidance is damaged by illness, poor diet, or medications, the schooling of immune cells can go awry. Without proper bacterial guidance, immune cells may graduate from gut school with incomplete educations. They might fail to develop appropriate tolerance. They could learn to see enemies where none exist, or fail to recognize genuine threats when they appear. Most troubling of all, they might forget the lessons of self-recognition, beginning to attack the very body they were meant to protect. This confusion is at the heart of autoimmune diseases, conditions where your body's defenders become so misdirected that they turn their weapons against your own tissues. The joints in rheumatoid arthritis. The insulin-producing cells in type 1 diabetes. The intestinal lining in inflammatory bowel disease. All of these become targets not because they are dangerous, but because the immune system has forgotten the fundamental lessons it should have learned in the gentle classroom of your gut. Yet understanding this connection between bacterial teachers and immune education opens pathways to healing that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. If autoimmune diseases stem from educational failures in your gut school, then perhaps they can be treated by restoring the wisdom of those bacterial teachers. As you rest in this quiet moment, know that deep within your body, this ancient school continues its vital work. Your bacterial teachers are patiently guiding new generations of immune cells, passing down the timeless lessons of balance, wisdom, and protective love. And somewhere in this ongoing education lies the promise that even when these lessons have been forgotten, they can be remembered again, restored through the healing power of cooperation that has sustained life on Earth for millions of years. Let your breath grow quiet as we explore a more tender part of this story. Even the most beautiful gardens can face seasons of difficulty. Even the wisest teachers sometimes struggle to be heard. And even the most carefully trained guardians can, in moments of confusion, forget the lessons they once knew by heart. This is what happens when autoimmune disease enters the peaceful world of your inner garden. Imagine your gut's bacterial community as a symphony orchestra that has played together in perfect harmony for years. Each musician knows their part. Each section supports the others. The music they create together is so beautiful and so natural that it seems effortless, like birdsong at dawn or waves meeting the shore. But now imagine that some of the musicians begin to leave. Perhaps illness has made them weak, or medications have forced them away, or stress has disrupted their ability to play. The careful balance of the orchestra starts to shift. Sections that once were full now have empty chairs. The harmonies that once flowed so smoothly begin to sound different, uncertain. As the bacterial orchestra struggles, the music they send to your immune system changes too. The gentle melodies that once taught lessons of peace and cooperation become fragmented. The immune cells, those young students who depend on this musical guidance, begin to receive confusing messages. Without clear instruction from their bacterial teachers, some immune cells start to panic. They remember that they are supposed to protect the body, but they no longer hear the subtle signals that help them distinguish between friend and enemy. Like guards at a castle gate who can no longer see clearly in gathering fog, they begin to question everything and everyone. In this confusion, tragic mistakes begin to happen. An immune cell might encounter a protein from your own joint tissue and, lacking the gentle bacterial guidance that would normally identify it as self, decide it looks suspicious. Another might meet a piece of your thyroid gland and, without the chemical whispers that would typically say this belongs here, launch an attack against it. These are not malicious acts. Your immune cells are not trying to harm you. They are simply scared, confused students who have lost their teachers and are trying their best to protect a home they no longer fully recognize. This is how autoimmune diseases begin, not as acts of betrayal, but as acts of love gone wrong. Your body's defenders, trained to give their lives to protect you, become so disoriented that they start fighting the very tissues they were born to guard. In rheumatoid arthritis, immune cells mistake the lining of your joints for dangerous invaders, creating inflammation and pain as they try to protect you from your own tissues. In type 1 diabetes, they attack the cells in your pancreas that make insulin, thinking they are destroying enemies when they are actually eliminating essential helpers. In inflammatory bowel diseases like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, the confusion happens right there in the gut itself, where the immune cells turn against the very walls of the intestines where they first learned their lessons of tolerance. Each of these conditions tells a story of education interrupted, of bacterial wisdom lost, of immune cells trying to fulfill their protective duty without the guidance they desperately need. The inflammation that characterizes autoimmune diseases is like a fire that spreads when firefighters can't tell the difference between the buildings they're meant to save and the flames they're supposed to fight. The more they spray water on the wrong targets, the more damage occurs, and the more confused and desperate they become. But here is something remarkable that scientists are discovering: in many cases, the bacterial teachers are not gone forever. They may be depleted, scattered, or silenced, but often they can be restored. The orchestra may have lost some of its musicians, but new ones can join, and the harmony can be rebuilt. This understanding is revolutionizing how we think about autoimmune diseases. Instead of seeing them only as immune system failures that require suppression, researchers are beginning to understand them as educational problems that might be solved by restoring the teaching relationship between bacteria and immune cells. Studies are showing that people with autoimmune diseases often have different bacterial communities in their guts compared to healthy individuals. Their inner gardens may lack diversity, with some helpful species missing entirely while others grow in uncontrolled abundance, like weeds taking over a neglected flower bed. Sometimes, the protective mucus layer that houses the most important bacterial teachers becomes thin or damaged, disrupting the intimate conversations between microbes and immune cells. Other times, the bacterial communities themselves become imbalanced, with inflammatory species outcompeting the peaceful ones that normally provide calming guidance. The beautiful truth emerging from this research is that these imbalances are often not permanent. Gardens can be replanted. Orchestras can recruit new musicians. Teachers can return to their classrooms, and students can learn again. Scientists are discovering that certain bacterial strains have remarkable abilities to calm overactive immune responses. These peaceful microbes seem to specialize in producing the chemical signals that remind immune cells of their original lessons in tolerance and self-recognition. Some research suggests that specific bacteria can actually help repair the damaged intestinal barrier, strengthening the protective mucus layer and restoring the intimate communication channels between the microbial and immune worlds. Other studies indicate that diverse bacterial communities, those rich rainforests of the gut, may be more effective at re-educating confused immune cells than any single species could be alone. It's as if the full orchestra is needed to play the complex symphony of signals that guide immune wisdom. Even more hopeful is the discovery that the gut's capacity for healing and rebalancing seems to be remarkably resilient. Even after years of disruption, even when autoimmune diseases have been active for long periods, the bacterial communities often retain the ability to recover and restore their teaching function when given the right support. This doesn't mean that healing autoimmune diseases is simple or that everyone will respond in the same way. Each person's inner garden is unique, shaped by genetics, life experiences, and countless individual factors. But it does mean that hope is not misplaced, that the ancient partnership between human and microbial life contains within it possibilities for restoration that we are only beginning to understand. As you rest in this quiet moment, know that even if your body's inner garden has known seasons of difficulty, even if the harmony of your bacterial orchestra has been disrupted, the fundamental capacity for healing remains. Your body remembers how to create balance, how to nurture cooperation, how to restore the peaceful partnership that is your birthright. The confusion that creates autoimmune disease may feel overwhelming, but it is not permanent. And in laboratories around the world, researchers are learning to read the chemical language that your bacteria speak, discovering new ways to help restore the conversations that lead to healing. Let your breathing settle into a peaceful rhythm as we explore one of the most beautiful secrets in your body. Right now, as you rest in quiet stillness, an ancient conversation is taking place within you. It is a dialogue spoken not in words or sounds, but in the gentle language of molecules, chemical whispers that carry messages of healing throughout your entire being. This molecular language is older than human speech, older than any written word. It flows through your body like poetry written in the alphabet of life itself, each chemical message carrying instructions, requests, and responses that keep your inner world in harmony. Imagine, if you will, that you could shrink down small enough to witness these molecular conversations. You would see your bacterial friends in your gut carefully crafting tiny chemical messengers, each one designed with the precision of a master craftsperson and the love of a caring friend. Some of these molecules are like gentle lullabies, designed to calm and soothe your immune cells when they become too excited or aggressive. Others are like wake-up songs, alerting your body's repair systems to areas that need attention and healing. Still others are like thank you notes, expressing gratitude between different communities of bacteria as they share resources and support each other's growth. One of the most remarkable types of molecular messages your bacteria create are called short-chain fatty acids. These small, simple molecules might seem ordinary, but they carry extraordinary power. When your beneficial bacteria digest the fiber in the foods you eat, they transform it into these special fatty acids, each one a gift wrapped in chemical elegance. These fatty acid molecules travel through your intestinal walls and into your bloodstream like tiny ambassadors of peace. When they reach your immune cells, they deliver messages of calm and balance. They whisper to inflammatory cells, encouraging them to settle down and work cooperatively rather than aggressively. They speak to regulatory immune cells, strengthening their ability to maintain peace and prevent conflicts from escalating. The beauty of these molecular messengers is that they speak directly to your genetic code, influencing which genes are turned on or off in your immune cells. Like conductors directing an orchestra, they help ensure that your immune system plays the music of health rather than the discord of disease. But your bacteria don't only send messages outward to your body. They also listen carefully to the chemical signals your human cells send back to them. Your intestinal lining constantly releases molecules that inform the bacterial community about your body's current needs and challenges. When you're stressed, your gut releases certain hormones and neurotransmitters that your bacteria can detect and respond to. They might increase production of calming molecules or adjust their metabolism to better support your body during difficult times. It's as if your bacterial friends are constantly asking, "How can we help?" and then responding with exactly the chemical support you need. Some bacteria in your gut are particularly gifted at producing molecules that closely resemble the neurotransmitters your brain uses to regulate mood and emotion. They create compounds similar to serotonin, the chemical associated with feelings of well-being and happiness. Others produce molecules that mimic GABA, a neurotransmitter that promotes calm and reduces anxiety. This molecular communication between your gut bacteria and your brain helps explain why your digestive health is so intimately connected to your emotional state. The phrase gut feeling becomes more than just a metaphor when you understand that your gut bacteria are literally sending chemical messages that influence how you feel and think. In the context of autoimmune disease, these molecular conversations become even more crucial. Scientists are discovering that certain bacterial strains produce molecules specifically designed to educate and calm immune cells that have become confused or overactive. For example, some beneficial bacteria create molecules called polysaccharides that act like teaching aids in your immune system's classroom. These complex sugar molecules help immune cells learn to distinguish between helpful bacteria and harmful invaders, reinforcing the lessons of tolerance and appropriate response. Other bacteria produce small proteins called cytokines that serve as messenger molecules between different types of immune cells. When these cytokines carry messages of cooperation and balance, they help maintain the peaceful coordination that keeps your immune system working in harmony. But when the bacterial communities that produce these beneficial cytokines are disrupted, the messages can become garbled or absent, contributing to the confusion that underlies autoimmune conditions. Perhaps most fascinating of all are the molecules that help repair and maintain the protective barrier of your intestinal wall. Some bacteria produce compounds that strengthen the tight junctions between your intestinal cells, like molecular glue that helps keep the barrier intact. Others create molecules that stimulate the production of protective mucus, ensuring that the delicate negotiations between your immune system and bacterial community can continue in a safe, controlled environment. This chemical diplomacy extends beyond your gut to influence your entire body. Molecules produced by your gut bacteria travel through your bloodstream to reach your joints, your skin, your organs, and even your brain. Each destination receives specifically crafted chemical messages that help coordinate your body's overall response to health challenges. In healthy individuals, this molecular communication creates what scientists call homeostasis, a dynamic balance where all systems work together in harmony. Your bacteria send signals of peace and cooperation, your immune system responds with appropriate tolerance and protection, and your body maintains the delicate equilibrium that we experience as wellness. But when this molecular conversation is disrupted, when beneficial bacteria are depleted, when harmful bacteria produce inflammatory messages, or when the communication pathways themselves become damaged, the chemical language of your body can shift from poetry to chaos. Instead of receiving messages of calm and cooperation, your immune cells might be bombarded with inflammatory signals that tell them to attack and defend. Instead of hearing instructions for tolerance and balance, they might receive chemical commands that promote aggression and confusion. This is where the hope in understanding molecular language becomes most apparent. Scientists are learning to read and interpret these chemical conversations with increasing sophistication. They're discovering which bacterial strains produce the most beneficial molecular messengers and how to cultivate these helpful microbes in the human gut. Research laboratories around the world are working to decode the specific molecules that promote immune tolerance, the chemical signals that help repair intestinal barriers, and the molecular messages that restore the peaceful communication between bacterial communities and human cells. Some researchers are even learning to create synthetic versions of beneficial bacterial molecules, like learning to write in the ancient chemical language that your body understands. Others are developing ways to introduce specific bacterial strains that excel at producing healing molecules, like recruiting skilled translators to help restore clear communication in your inner world. As you rest in this moment of peaceful contemplation, know that this molecular conversation continues within you, each chemical whisper carrying the potential for healing and restoration. Your body speaks this ancient language fluently, and given the right support and conditions, it remembers how to write stories of wellness in the beautiful script of molecular harmony. The chemical messages flowing through your system right now are part of an ongoing dialogue that connects you to the deepest wisdom of life itself, and in that connection lies the promise that healing conversations can be restored, no matter how long they may have been silent. Take a slow, deep breath and let your mind drift to one of the most remarkable boundaries in existence. It is thinner than a sheet of paper, more delicate than butterfly wings, yet stronger and more important than any wall ever built by human hands. This is your intestinal barrier, the living boundary that separates your inner world from the universe of your gut. Imagine a border between two countries, but instead of being marked by concrete walls or metal fences, this border is made of living cells that can think, communicate, and make decisions about who may pass and who must wait. Each cell in this barrier is connected to its neighbors by intricate bonds, creating a continuous wall that stretches throughout the entire length of your intestines. This cellular wall is only one layer thick. If you could see it under a powerful microscope, it would look like a row of tall, elegant towers standing side by side, each tower being a single cell. These cellular towers are joined together by special connections called tight junctions, molecular clasps that hold the barrier secure while still allowing it to remain flexible and alive. These tight junctions work like selective doorways that can open and close with remarkable precision. They can allow tiny, beneficial molecules to pass through while keeping larger, potentially harmful substances safely contained in your gut. They can recognize the difference between a nutrient your body needs and a toxin it should avoid. They can even adjust their selectivity based on the chemical signals they receive from your bacterial friends. Your intestinal barrier is not just a passive wall. It is an active, intelligent boundary that participates in every aspect of your health. Each cell contains sensors that constantly sample the environment on both sides of the barrier, checking for signs of friend or foe, safety or danger. On one side of this barrier lies your gut's inner garden, the warm, nutrient-rich world where your bacterial communities thrive. Here, food particles drift in gentle currents, bacteria communicate through chemical signals, and the complex process of digestion transforms your meals into the building blocks of life. On the other side lies your body's internal universe, your bloodstream, your lymphatic system, and the carefully controlled environment where your immune cells patrol and your organs perform their vital functions. This is your most private, most protected space, where only the most trusted molecular visitors are allowed to enter. The cells of your intestinal barrier serve as wise guardians at this border crossing. They examine every molecule that seeks passage, using sophisticated biological scanners to determine friend from foe. Nutrients like vitamins, minerals, and amino acids are welcomed and escorted safely through. Larger, undigested food particles and potentially harmful bacteria are politely but firmly kept in the gut where they belong. This careful screening process depends heavily on the guidance your barrier cells receive from your bacterial teachers. The beneficial bacteria in your gut produce molecules that help strengthen these cellular connections, like skilled architects providing blueprints for maintaining a strong yet flexible wall. When your bacterial community is healthy and diverse, it sends constant signals that help your barrier cells maintain their integrity. These signals encourage the production of protective mucus, strengthen the tight junctions between cells, and enhance the barrier's ability to distinguish between helpful and harmful substances. Your intestinal barrier also hosts its own specialized immune cells, like guards stationed along a castle wall. These immune sentinels sample substances from both sides of the barrier, constantly gathering information about the environment and communicating with other immune cells throughout your body. When everything is working in harmony, this system creates what scientists call selective permeability. Your barrier remains strong enough to keep harmful substances out while staying open enough to allow beneficial nutrients in. It's like having a border crossing staffed by the wisest, most discerning officials in the world. But sometimes, this delicate barrier can become compromised. Stress, certain medications, poor diet, or imbalances in your bacterial community can cause the tight junctions to weaken or become overly permeable. When this happens, substances that should remain safely contained in your gut can begin to slip through into your bloodstream. This condition is sometimes called increased intestinal permeability, though many people know it by the more descriptive term leaky gut. When your intestinal barrier becomes too permeable, it's like having border guards who can no longer properly check credentials. The wrong visitors might gain access to spaces where they don't belong. Undigested food particles might slip through the barrier and encounter immune cells that have never seen them before. These immune cells, lacking the proper introduction from bacterial teachers, might mistake these food particles for dangerous invaders and launch an attack against them. This can lead to food sensitivities and allergic reactions. Even more concerning, bacteria or bacterial components that should remain safely in your gut might cross the compromised barrier. When immune cells encounter these bacterial visitors in the wrong location, in your bloodstream rather than in your gut-supervised environment, they might respond with confusion and alarm, potentially triggering the kind of immune overreaction that contributes to autoimmune diseases. But the remarkable thing about your intestinal barrier is its capacity for healing and restoration. The cells that make up this boundary are among the fastest renewing cells in your entire body. They replace themselves every few days, constantly rebuilding and refreshing the barrier that protects your inner world. This means that even if your intestinal barrier has been damaged or compromised, it retains the inherent ability to repair itself when given the right support. Like a garden that can flourish again after a drought when rain finally returns, your barrier can restore its strength and selectivity when the conditions for healing are provided. Scientists are discovering that certain beneficial bacteria are particularly gifted at supporting barrier repair. These helpful microbes produce molecules that directly strengthen tight junctions, stimulate the growth of new barrier cells, and enhance the production of protective mucus. They work like skilled contractors, providing both the materials and the expertise needed to restore your barrier to optimal function. Certain nutrients also play crucial roles in barrier maintenance. Substances like glutamine provide fuel for barrier cells, while others like zinc help maintain the structural integrity of tight junctions. Even simple dietary fiber, when digested by your beneficial bacteria, produces compounds that nourish and strengthen your intestinal wall. The healing of your intestinal barrier is not just about physical repair, it's also about restoring the harmonious communication between your bacterial community and your immune system. As the barrier regains its strength and selectivity, it recreates the controlled environment where proper immune education can take place. Your intestinal barrier stands as a testament to the body's incredible wisdom in maintaining the delicate balance between openness and protection, between welcoming beneficial influences and excluding harmful ones. It represents the physical embodiment of discernment itself, the ability to distinguish between what serves your highest good and what might cause harm. As you rest in this peaceful moment, know that this remarkable barrier continues its quiet work, making millions of small decisions that protect and nourish you. Each cell in this living wall carries within itself the memory of perfect function and the capacity for complete restoration. And in the gentle renewal that happens every few days, as old cells are replaced by new ones, lies the promise that no matter how this barrier may have been challenged in the past, it always holds within itself the potential to become whole and strong again. Close your eyes and imagine walking through the most magnificent rainforest on Earth. Above you, a canopy of ancient trees reaches toward the sky, their leaves creating a living cathedral of green. Around you, countless species of plants flourish in every available space, delicate orchids clinging to tree bark, colorful flowers blooming in filtered sunlight, and soft mosses carpeting the forest floor. Each plant in this forest has its own special role to play. Some are tall guardians that provide shelter and stability. Others are skilled healers that produce medicines from their roots and leaves. Still others are gentle nurturers that create rich soil for their neighbors to grow in. Together, they form an ecosystem so resilient and balanced that it can weather storms, droughts, and countless other challenges while continuing to thrive. Your gut is very much like this rainforest, but instead of trees and flowers, it hosts an incredible diversity of microscopic life. Scientists estimate that a healthy human gut contains between 500 and 1,000 different species of bacteria, each one as unique and specialized as any plant in the Amazon. This diversity is not accidental. It is the result of millions of years of evolution, during which countless bacterial species learn to work together in increasingly sophisticated ways. Like the plants in a rainforest that have developed intricate relationships of mutual support, the bacteria in your gut have created one of the most complex and beautiful partnerships in the natural world. Some bacteria in your gut are like the tall trees of the forest canopy. These are what scientists call dominant species, bacteria that exist in large numbers and provide fundamental services to the entire community. They might specialize in breaking down complex fibers from the foods you eat, creating nutrients that feed dozens of other bacterial species. Or they might focus on maintaining the chemical balance of your gut environment, ensuring that conditions remain suitable for beneficial microbes to flourish. Other bacteria are like the specialized flowers that bloom in forest clearings. They may exist in smaller numbers, but their contributions are irreplaceable. Some of these specialist bacteria are expert manufacturers of specific vitamins that your body cannot produce on its own. Others are skilled chemists that create unique molecules for communicating with your immune system. Still others are talented architects that help build and maintain the protective barriers that keep your gut healthy. Then there are the bacterial equivalent of forest mushrooms, microbes that specialize in recycling and cleanup. These bacteria break down waste products from other species, transforming potentially harmful substances into beneficial compounds. They help maintain the cleanliness and balance of your gut ecosystem, ensuring that no single type of bacteria can grow so abundantly that it overwhelms the community. The beauty of this diverse ecosystem lies in its redundancy and resilience. In a rainforest, if one species of plant is damaged by disease or drought, dozens of other species can step in to fill similar roles. The forest continues to function because it has multiple solutions to every challenge it might face. Your gut works in exactly the same way. If one species of beneficial bacteria is reduced by illness or antibiotics, other species can often compensate by increasing their own beneficial activities. If one type of bacteria that produces a particular vitamin becomes depleted, related species might boost their own vitamin production to make up the difference. This diversity also provides protection against harmful invaders. In a simplified ecosystem with only a few bacterial species, dangerous bacteria can easily find empty niches to colonize and begin causing trouble. But in a diverse, well-established gut community, beneficial bacteria occupy nearly every available space and resource, leaving little room for harmful species to gain a foothold. Scientists call this protective effect colonization resistance, the ability of a diverse bacterial community to resist invasion by disease-causing microbes. It's like having a thriving garden where healthy plants grow so abundantly that weeds cannot find space to take root. The diverse bacterial community in your gut also provides your immune system with a rich education in tolerance and appropriate response. When immune cells encounter hundreds of different beneficial bacterial species during their training in your gut, they develop sophisticated abilities to distinguish between helpful and harmful microbes. This varied education helps prevent the kind of immune confusion that can lead to autoimmune diseases. Research has shown that people with autoimmune conditions often have less diverse gut bacteria compared to healthy individuals. Their inner ecosystems might be dominated by only a few bacterial species, like forests that have been reduced to monocultures. Without the rich variety of bacterial teachers that a diverse community provides, immune cells may receive incomplete or unbalanced education, leading to the kind of confusion that triggers autoimmune reactions. But diversity in your gut ecosystem provides benefits that extend far beyond immune education. Different bacterial species produce different types of beneficial molecules, creating a complex chemical symphony that influences your entire body. Some bacteria specialize in producing molecules that support brain health and mood regulation. Others create compounds that strengthen your bones or support your heart. Still others manufacture substances that help regulate your sleep cycles or stress responses. When your gut bacteria are diverse, you receive this full orchestra of beneficial molecules. But when diversity is reduced, it's like having a symphony orchestra with many missing musicians. The music is still recognizable, but it lacks the richness and completeness that comes from having all parts represented. The good news is that bacterial diversity can often be restored, even after it has been significantly reduced. Your gut ecosystem has a remarkable ability to welcome new bacterial species and integrate them into the existing community. Like a garden that can be replanted with new flowers, your gut can often regain its diversity when provided with the right conditions and opportunities. Certain foods are particularly effective at supporting bacterial diversity. Fiber-rich plant foods provide different types of nutrients that feed different bacterial species, encouraging a wide variety of microbes to flourish. Fermented foods introduce new bacterial strains directly into your gut ecosystem, like planting seeds in a garden. Even simple changes in diet can often lead to significant increases in gut bacterial diversity within just a few weeks. Scientists are also learning to assess and support gut diversity through advanced testing methods. They can now map the bacterial species in an individual's gut and identify areas where diversity might be lacking. This personalized approach to gut health represents a new frontier in medicine, the ability to cultivate inner ecosystems that are uniquely suited to each person's needs. The research into gut diversity and autoimmune disease is revealing hopeful possibilities. Studies suggest that restoring bacterial diversity might help retrain confused immune systems, providing them with the varied education they need to regain appropriate tolerance and response. Some researchers are even developing targeted therapies that introduce specific combinations of bacterial species designed to restore healthy diversity and immune function. As you rest in this peaceful moment, know that within your body lies an ecosystem as complex and beautiful as any rainforest on Earth. Each bacterial species in your gut contributes its own special gifts to the symphony of your health, and together they create a living masterpiece that supports every aspect of your well-being. And just as rainforests have the capacity to regrow and flourish even after periods of disturbance, your inner ecosystem holds within itself the potential for renewal, diversity, and abundant life that can nourish you for years to come. Let your breathing deepen as we explore one of the most beautiful connections between the outer world and your inner universe. The foods you choose to nourish yourself with are not just fuel for your human cells, they are love letters to your bacterial friends, gifts that can transform the landscape of your gut and, in turn, transform your health in ways that would have seemed like magic to previous generations. Picture a grandmother in her kitchen, her hands moving with practiced wisdom as she tends to jars of vegetables slowly fermenting on her counter. She may not know the scientific names of the bacteria transforming her cabbage into sauerkraut, but she understands something profound: that patient cooperation between humans and microbes creates nourishment that heals from the deepest level. This ancient wisdom, passed down through countless generations, is now being validated by modern science in ways that fill researchers with wonder. The foods that have supported human health for millennia, the fermented vegetables, the fiber-rich plants, the carefully cultured dairy products, turn out to be precisely what your gut bacteria need to flourish and, in their flourishing, to help heal autoimmune diseases. Fermented foods are like gifts wrapped in time and transformation. When beneficial bacteria slowly digest vegetables, grains, or dairy products over days or weeks, they create far more than preserved food. They create living ecosystems, communities of helpful microbes surrounded by the very nutrients they need to thrive in your gut. Consider the humble act of eating a spoonful of yogurt made with live cultures. You are not simply consuming dairy and beneficial bacteria. You are introducing an entire thriving community into your inner garden, bacteria that have already learned to work together, that have already begun producing the beneficial molecules your immune system recognizes and trusts. These fermented foods carry with them what scientists call trained bacteria, microbes that have been strengthened and educated through their work of fermentation. They arrive in your gut prepared to begin their beneficial activities immediately, like skilled gardeners who know exactly what your inner ecosystem needs. Sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, kombucha, miso, each of these foods represents a different bacterial community with its own unique gifts. Some excel at producing specific vitamins. Others specialize in creating molecules that calm inflammation. Still others are particularly skilled at strengthening your intestinal barrier or communicating peacefully with your immune cells. When you regularly include a variety of fermented foods in your diet, you are essentially inviting a diverse council of bacterial advisors to join your inner community. Each brings its own wisdom, its own healing capabilities, and its own gentle influence on your immune system's education. But fermented foods are only one part of the healing symphony. Your bacterial friends also need what scientists call prebiotics, the special types of fiber that serve as food specifically for beneficial bacteria. These fibers are like carefully selected fertilizer for your inner garden, designed to feed the plants you want to grow while providing little nourishment for weeds. Many of these prebiotic fibers come from plants that humans have cultivated and cherished for thousands of years. The artichoke, with its tender heart surrounded by protective leaves, contains inulin, a type of fiber that feeds some of your most beneficial bacteria. Garlic and onions, those humble aromatics that form the foundation of so many healing cuisines, are rich in fibers that specifically nourish bacteria known for their anti-inflammatory properties. Even the simple apple, with its crisp sweetness and gentle fiber, provides pectin, a prebiotic that feeds bacteria particularly skilled at maintaining your intestinal barrier. When you eat an apple, you are not just nourishing yourself, you are feeding the microscopic architects that maintain the walls of your inner world. The beauty of prebiotic foods lies in their selectivity. While processed foods often feed harmful bacteria as readily as beneficial ones, prebiotic fibers are like keys that only fit the locks of helpful microbes. They pass through your small intestine largely unchanged, arriving in your large intestine as precious gifts specifically for your bacterial allies. As these beneficial bacteria feast on prebiotic fibers, they produce those remarkable short-chain fatty acids we discussed earlier, molecular messengers that carry healing throughout your entire body. It's a perfect cycle of nourishment. You feed your bacteria, and they create medicines that heal and strengthen you in return. The most healing approach seems to be what scientists call dietary diversity, regularly consuming a wide variety of plant foods, each offering different types of prebiotic fibers to feed different bacterial species. Just as a diverse garden thrives on varied nutrients, your gut bacteria flourish when they receive a spectrum of plant-based nourishment. Berries provide fibers that feed bacteria skilled at producing antioxidant compounds. Leafy greens offer nutrients that support bacteria specializing in vitamin production. Nuts and seeds contain fibers that nourish bacteria particularly good at supporting brain health and mood regulation. Even herbs and spices contribute to this healing feast. Turmeric provides compounds that work synergistically with certain bacteria to reduce inflammation. Ginger offers substances that beneficial bacteria can transform into even more powerful healing molecules. The rosemary growing on your windowsill contains compounds that help maintain the diversity of your bacterial community. Research is revealing that people who regularly consume a wide variety of plant foods, aiming for 30 or more different plants each week, tend to have more diverse and resilient gut bacteria. These individuals often show lower levels of inflammation and reduced risk of autoimmune diseases, suggesting that dietary diversity creates bacterial diversity, which in turn creates immune wisdom. But healing nutrition doesn't require perfection or complexity. Sometimes the most powerful interventions are beautifully simple. A daily serving of fermented vegetables. A piece of fruit with skin intact. A handful of nuts or seeds. A cup of herbal tea made from healing plants. Scientists are discovering that consistency matters more than intensity when it comes to feeding your bacterial garden. Regular, gentle nourishment allows bacterial communities to stabilize and mature, like a garden that thrives under consistent, patient care rather than sporadic, intense attention. The timing of when you eat these healing foods also appears to matter. Your bacteria have their own circadian rhythms, their own daily cycles of activity and rest. Eating fiber-rich foods during your bacteria's most active periods, typically during the day when you're awake and moving, seems to maximize the beneficial effects of prebiotic nourishment. Even the way you prepare foods can influence their healing potential. Gently cooked vegetables often provide more accessible fibers than raw ones, making it easier for your bacteria to extract maximum nourishment. Traditional cooking methods, slow simmering, gentle steaming, careful fermentation, seem to unlock healing compounds that harsh processing destroys. Perhaps most remarkably, research suggests that the benefits of healing nutrition can begin almost immediately. Within days of increasing fermented foods and prebiotic fibers, changes in gut bacteria can be detected. Within weeks, improvements in immune function and inflammation levels often become apparent. This responsiveness offers hope for those dealing with autoimmune challenges. The bacterial communities that may have become imbalanced or depleted can often be restored through patient, consistent nourishment. The immune systems that may have forgotten their lessons of tolerance can be re-educated by well-fed, diverse bacterial teachers. As you rest in this peaceful moment, know that every meal offers you an opportunity to send healing into your inner world. Every bite of fermented food, every fiber-rich fruit or vegetable, every herb and spice becomes part of the gentle conversation between your conscious choices and your microscopic allies. The foods that heal your gut are not exotic or expensive, they are often the simple, traditional foods that have nourished humans for generations. And in their simplicity lies their power, the ability to work with your body's ancient wisdom to restore balance, diversity, and health from the deepest cellular level. In laboratories around the world, scientists are exploring how this nutritional wisdom might be refined and personalized, learning to match specific bacterial communities with specific healing foods, creating therapeutic nutrition plans as precisely targeted as any medicine ever developed. As you settle deeper into this peaceful moment, let your mind drift to laboratories around the world where brilliant minds work with the gentle patience of gardeners. In these quiet spaces, lit by the soft glow of microscopes and the steady hum of incubators, researchers are cultivating something extraordinary, the medicine of tomorrow, grown not in chemical factories, but in the living soil of microbial communities. These scientists have become students of your inner garden, learning to read the ancient language that bacteria speak and discovering how to write new chapters in the story of healing. They work with reverence for the microscopic world, understanding that in these tiny lives lies the potential to transform human suffering into hope. Picture a researcher gently transferring bacteria from one culture dish to another, each movement as careful as a master gardener transplanting seedlings. These are not random experiments, but precise attempts to understand which bacterial combinations create harmony and which restore the peaceful education of immune cells. In some of the most promising research, scientists are exploring something called fecal microbiota transplantation, though the name hardly captures the wonder of what they're actually doing. They are learning to transfer entire bacterial communities from healthy individuals to those whose inner gardens have become depleted or imbalanced. Think of it as giving someone a complete ecosystem transplant, like taking the thriving soil from a beautiful, mature garden and using it to restore a patch of earth that has become barren. The healthy bacterial community brings with it not just individual species, but the complex relationships, the chemical conversations, and the accumulated wisdom of a well-functioning microbial world. Early studies of this approach for certain digestive diseases have shown remarkable results. Patients who suffered for years with conditions that conventional medicine struggled to treat have sometimes experienced dramatic healing within weeks of receiving healthy bacterial communities. It's as if their inner gardens, given the right seeds and soil, remember how to bloom again. Now researchers are carefully exploring whether this same approach might help people with autoimmune diseases. They're studying whether transplanting diverse, well-educated bacterial communities might help retrain confused immune systems, providing them with the wise teachers they need to remember the lessons of tolerance and cooperation. But scientists aren't stopping with simple transplants. They're learning to design bacterial communities the way architects design buildings, with specific purposes and carefully planned interactions. They're identifying which bacterial strains are the most skilled teachers, which ones produce the most beneficial healing molecules, and which combinations work best together. Some researchers are focusing on what they call next-generation probiotics, specially selected bacterial strains that have been chosen for their particular abilities to communicate with immune cells. These aren't the general-purpose bacteria found in typical probiotic supplements, but highly specialized microbes that excel at producing specific healing compounds or teaching particular lessons to immune cells. Others are exploring designer bacteria, beneficial microbes that have been gently encouraged to enhance their natural healing abilities. Like selectively breeding plants to produce more beautiful flowers or sweeter fruits, scientists are learning to cultivate bacteria that are exceptionally good at calming inflammation or strengthening intestinal barriers. In one particularly fascinating area of research, scientists are studying how to use bacteria as tiny factories for producing medicines. They're teaching beneficial bacteria to manufacture specific therapeutic compounds right inside the gut, creating a living pharmacy that can provide continuous, precisely targeted treatment. Imagine bacteria that could detect when your immune system is becoming overactive and respond by immediately producing molecules that calm inflammation. Or bacteria that could sense damage to your intestinal barrier and automatically begin manufacturing the compounds needed for repair. This isn't science fiction. Early versions of such smart bacteria are already being developed and tested. Researchers are also exploring the fascinating world of bacterial communication networks. They're learning to understand the chemical signals that bacteria use to coordinate their activities and discovering how to influence these conversations to promote healing. Some scientists are working with what they call quorum sensing, the way bacteria count their own numbers and change their behavior based on population density. By understanding these signals, researchers might be able to help beneficial bacteria coordinate more effectively or prevent harmful bacteria from organizing attacks on your body's tissues. Others are studying how bacteria respond to the rhythms of your body, how they adjust their activities based on whether you're sleeping or awake, stressed or calm, well-fed or hungry. This research is revealing opportunities to time treatments with your body's natural cycles, maximizing healing effects while minimizing disruption. Perhaps most exciting of all is the development of personalized microbiome medicine. Scientists are learning to map individual bacterial communities with incredible precision, identifying exactly which species are present, which are missing, and which are out of balance in each person's unique inner ecosystem. This personalized approach recognizes that just as no two gardens are exactly alike, no two human microbiomes are identical. The bacterial community that promotes healing in one person might be different from what another person needs. By understanding these individual differences, researchers can design treatments as unique as fingerprints. Some laboratories are already offering detailed microbiome testing that can reveal the specific composition of your bacterial community. They can identify which beneficial species might be lacking in your gut and which potentially harmful ones might be present in excess. This information is like having a detailed map of your inner garden, showing exactly where replanting might be needed. The next step is developing targeted interventions based on these personalized maps. Instead of general recommendations, future treatments might specify exactly which bacterial strains you need, which prebiotic foods would best feed your particular community, and which lifestyle changes would most effectively support your unique microbial ecosystem. Clinical trials are already underway testing personalized bacterial cocktails for various autoimmune conditions. Early results suggest that when treatments are matched precisely to individual needs, the success rates can be dramatically higher than with one-size-fits-all approaches. Researchers are also exploring how to use artificial intelligence to analyze the vast amounts of data generated by microbiome research. These sophisticated computer systems can identify patterns and relationships that human minds alone might never discover, potentially revealing new connections between specific bacterial communities and healing outcomes. Some scientists are even investigating how to use bacteria as diagnostic tools, training them to detect early signs of autoimmune activity or intestinal barrier damage. These biological sensors could potentially identify problems long before symptoms appear, allowing for preventive treatments that maintain health rather than simply responding to disease. The timeline for many of these advances is remarkably short. Some personalized microbiome treatments are already available, though they're still being refined and improved. Within the next decade, many researchers believe that microbiome-based therapies could become standard treatments for autoimmune diseases. But perhaps the most beautiful aspect of this emerging field is how it honors the ancient wisdom of your body while embracing the precision of modern science. These treatments don't fight against your natural systems, they work to restore and enhance them. As you rest in this moment of quiet reflection, know that in laboratories around the world, dedicated researchers are working with the patience of monks and the precision of master craftsmen to unlock the healing potential that lies within the microscopic world. And in their careful cultivation of bacterial communities, in their gentle manipulation of microbial conversations, lies the promise that the suffering caused by autoimmune diseases may one day be transformed into stories of restoration as beautiful as gardens returning to bloom after winter's end. Take a gentle breath and let yourself appreciate one of the most remarkable truths about your body: the bacterial garden that grows within you is unlike any other in the world. Just as no two snowflakes share the same crystalline pattern, no two human microbiomes are exactly alike. Your inner ecosystem is as unique as your voice, as individual as your thoughts, as personal as your dreams. This uniqueness began at the moment of your birth. As you emerged into the world, you encountered your very first bacterial teachers, some from your mother, some from the environment around you, each one beginning to write the opening pages of your microbial story. From that first breath onward, every experience has helped shape the community that calls your gut home. The foods your family fed you as a child, the places you played, the people you hugged, the pets you loved, all of these experiences contributed bacterial species to your growing inner garden. Even the way you were born, whether through natural delivery or cesarean section, influenced which bacterial pioneers first colonized your pristine internal landscape. As you grew from infant to child to adult, your bacterial community evolved alongside you. The bacteria that thrived during your milk-drinking years gradually made way for species better adapted to solid foods. The microbes that flourished during your active childhood adjusted as your lifestyle changed. Your inner ecosystem became a living autobiography, written in the language of microbial DNA. Scientists studying human microbiomes have discovered that each person's bacterial fingerprint is remarkably stable over time. While individual species may fluctuate based on diet, stress, or illness, the overall pattern of your microbial community tends to return to its unique baseline, like a river that may flood or run low but always follows the same basic course. This stability suggests that your microbiome has a kind of memory, a preferred state of being that it naturally gravitates toward. It's as if your bacterial community remembers how it likes to be organized and works to maintain that familiar pattern even when circumstances try to disrupt it. But within this stability lies beautiful complexity. Your bacterial garden contains neighborhoods and districts, each with its own character and population. The bacteria living near the beginning of your small intestine are different from those thriving in your large intestine. The microbes that prefer the left side of your colon have different neighbors than those on the right side. Some people's inner gardens are dominated by bacteria that excel at breaking down plant fibers, making them particularly efficient at extracting nutrients from vegetarian diets. Others host communities that specialize in processing animal proteins and fats, thriving on more traditional omnivorous eating patterns. Still others have bacterial ecosystems that seem optimized for mixed diets with lots of variety. These dietary preferences aren't just learned behaviors, they're partly encoded in your personal microbiome. Your bacteria help determine which foods make you feel energetic and which leave you tired. They influence which dietary changes your body welcomes and which it resists. They even participate in creating your food cravings, sending chemical signals that guide your appetite toward the nutrients they need to thrive. Your genetic heritage also plays a role in shaping your microbial community. The genes you inherited from your parents influence everything from the thickness of your intestinal mucus layer to the types of immune responses your body tends to favor. These genetic factors create an environment that naturally supports certain bacterial species while being less hospitable to others. Even your personality and stress responses are reflected in your microbiome. People who tend toward anxiety often have different bacterial communities than those with naturally calm temperaments. Individuals who handle stress well may host bacteria that are particularly skilled at producing stress-reducing compounds, while those who struggle with stress might have communities that are less effective at manufacturing these calming molecules. This intimate connection between your inner bacterial world and your outer human experience means that healing your microbiome isn't just about taking generic probiotics or following universal dietary recommendations. True healing requires understanding and working with your unique microbial signature. Researchers are beginning to develop what they call precision microbiome medicine, treatments designed specifically for individual bacterial patterns. Instead of assuming that everyone needs the same bacterial species, they're learning to identify which microbes are missing from your particular ecosystem and which ones might be present in inappropriate numbers. For someone whose autoimmune condition might be related to a lack of regulatory bacteria, the treatment might focus on introducing specific strains known for their immune-calming abilities. For another person whose intestinal barrier seems compromised, the therapy might emphasize bacteria that excel at strengthening gut wall integrity. Each approach is tailored to address the specific imbalances present in that individual's unique microbial landscape. Some people respond beautifully to fermented foods, experiencing rapid improvements in their bacterial diversity and overall health. Others find that certain fermented foods cause digestive upset, suggesting that their particular bacterial community isn't ready to welcome those specific microbial immigrants. Understanding these individual responses is key to successful microbiome restoration. Similarly, prebiotic fibers that feed beneficial bacteria work differently for different people. The fiber that dramatically improves one person's gut health might cause uncomfortable gas and bloating in someone else, indicating that their bacterial communities have different nutritional preferences and processing capabilities. Even factors like exercise, sleep patterns, and meditation practices influence your microbiome in highly individual ways. Some people's bacteria respond enthusiastically to intense physical activity, while others seem to prefer gentle, consistent movement. Some microbial communities thrive when their host maintains strict sleep schedules, while others are more adaptable to varying bedtimes. Scientists are developing increasingly sophisticated tools to map these individual differences. Advanced DNA sequencing can now identify not just which bacterial species live in your gut, but exactly which strains of each species are present and how active they are. This level of detail is like having a microscopic census of your inner world, complete with information about what each resident is doing and how well they're thriving. Metabolomic testing can reveal which chemical compounds your bacteria are actually producing, providing insight into how well your microbial pharmacy is functioning. This testing can identify whether your bacteria are manufacturing adequate amounts of beneficial molecules like short-chain fatty acids or whether they're producing inflammatory compounds that might be contributing to autoimmune activity. The future of microbiome medicine lies in integrating all of this personal information into treatment plans that are as individual as you are. Instead of one-size-fits-all approaches, healthcare providers are beginning to offer microbiome consultations that analyze your unique bacterial fingerprint and develop customized strategies for optimizing your inner ecosystem. These personalized approaches recognize that your microbiome isn't just a collection of bacteria, it's a reflection of your life story, your genetic heritage, your daily choices, and your body's unique needs. Healing your inner garden requires understanding and honoring this individuality, working with your bacteria's natural preferences rather than against them. As you rest in this peaceful moment, take comfort in knowing that your inner ecosystem, unique as it is, contains within itself all the information needed for healing and restoration. Your bacteria remember how to create balance, how to communicate peacefully with your immune system, and how to support your health in ways that are perfectly suited to who you are. And as scientists continue to decode the secrets written in your personal microbial language, they're discovering new ways to help your inner garden bloom with exactly the kind of healing your individual body needs most. Let your breathing become soft and slow as we arrive at the end of our journey through your inner universe. Tonight, you have traveled from the vast cosmos of bacteria that live within you to the intimate molecular conversations that shape your health. You have discovered the ancient partnerships that sustain life and glimpsed the healing possibilities that tomorrow holds. As you prepare to drift into sleep, know that the story we have explored together is not just about science and bacteria and distant medical advances. It is a story about you, about the remarkable healing power that lives within your own body, waiting patiently to be understood and nurtured back to wholeness. Right now, as you rest in this quiet moment, your inner garden continues its gentle work. Millions of bacterial allies tend to their microscopic territories, producing healing molecules that flow through your bloodstream like liquid hope. Your immune cells patrol their domains with renewed wisdom, carrying the lessons they learned from their bacterial teachers. Your intestinal barrier maintains its vigilant watch, protecting your inner world while allowing beneficial nutrients to pass through. This peaceful activity continues whether you are awake or asleep, whether you are thinking about it or completely unaware. Your body knows how to heal itself, how to maintain the delicate balances that support life, how to restore harmony when it has been disrupted. This knowledge is written into every cell, embedded in the ancient partnerships that have sustained human health for millions of years. The research we have explored tonight represents humanity's growing understanding of these natural healing processes. Scientists are not creating new ways for bodies to heal, they are learning to read and support the healing mechanisms that have always existed within us. they are becoming fluent in the language your bacteria speak, learning to restore the conversations that lead to wellness. In the years ahead, this understanding will bloom into treatments that seem almost magical in their gentleness and precision. Children born with genetic predispositions to autoimmune diseases may receive bacterial communities specifically designed to train their immune systems in perfect tolerance. Adults struggling with conditions like rheumatoid arthritis or inflammatory bowel disease may find healing through carefully crafted microbial ecosystems that restore peace to their confused immune responses. The medicine of tomorrow will work with your body's natural wisdom rather than against it. Instead of suppressing immune systems that have become overactive, doctors will help restore the bacterial teachers that can guide these systems back to appropriate responses. Instead of treating symptoms, they will address the root causes that lie in the disrupted conversations between your microbial and human cells. But you don't have to wait for tomorrow's medicine to begin supporting your inner garden today. Every meal you eat, every moment of stress you learn to manage, every night of peaceful sleep you allow yourself, these are all gifts to the bacterial community that works so tirelessly on your behalf. The fermented foods you choose to include in your diet become welcoming gifts to beneficial bacteria seeking homes in your gut. The fiber-rich plants you eat provide nourishment that feeds your bacterial allies and starves the harmful species that might otherwise cause trouble. The variety in your diet creates the diversity that makes your inner ecosystem resilient and strong. Your daily choices about movement and rest also influence your microbial garden. Gentle exercise encourages beneficial bacteria to flourish while helping maintain the healthy circulation that carries bacterial messages throughout your body. Adequate sleep supports the natural rhythms that help your bacterial communities coordinate their healing activities. Even your emotional state affects your inner ecosystem. Practices like meditation, gratitude, and spending time in nature can reduce stress hormones that might otherwise disrupt your bacterial communities. The peace you cultivate in your mind becomes peace in your body, supporting the harmonious relationships that sustain your health. Perhaps most importantly, you can approach your body and your health challenges with the same patience and gentleness that characterizes the healing process itself. Your inner garden didn't become imbalanced overnight, and it won't be restored in a day. But like any garden tended with consistent love and attention, it will respond to your care with renewed vitality and balance. As research continues to unlock the secrets of the microbiome, you may discover specific strategies that are uniquely suited to your individual bacterial fingerprint. You may learn which foods feed your particular beneficial species most effectively, which lifestyle practices best support your personal ecosystem, and which therapeutic approaches might help restore any imbalances that have developed. But even without perfect knowledge, even without access to the most advanced treatments, you can trust in the fundamental healing capacity that lives within you. Your body remembers how to be well. Your bacterial partners remember how to create harmony. Your immune system remembers the ancient lessons of cooperation and appropriate response. The future of medicine is being written in laboratories around the world, but it is also being written in the daily choices you make, in the kindness you show toward your body, in the patience you practice as healing unfolds in its own perfect timing. Tonight, as you transition from waking consciousness into the restorative realm of sleep, your inner garden will continue its quiet work. Bacterial communities will tend their territories, immune cells will patrol their domains, and healing molecules will flow through your system like gentle streams carrying restoration to every corner of your being. In your dreams, perhaps you will visit the microscopic landscapes we have explored together. Perhaps you will walk through bacterial forests where beneficial microbes work in peaceful cooperation, or float through molecular conversations that whisper messages of healing and hope. And when you wake tomorrow, you will carry with you the knowledge that you are never alone, that you are supported by an entire universe of microscopic allies who want nothing more than your health and happiness. You will remember that healing is always possible, that your body contains within itself the seeds of restoration, waiting patiently for the right conditions to bloom into wellness. Sleep peacefully, knowing that your inner garden grows in the darkness, tended by ancient wisdom and nurtured by the endless capacity for renewal that flows through every living thing.